Okay, I have an old morning coffee when I talk about the day that changed the course of my life forever. When I shot my first deer with a bow, and it was a doe, it changed the course of my life forever. Now you can see all of our old morning coffees and our present one. You see them all on our streaming channel, Roger Ragland channel. I highly recommend you go on there. There are a lot of great stories, a lot of information. But this is another one of those stories that kind of helped change the course of how I thought about deer hunting. This day changed my thinking on deer hunting. Now, I've said this, king of hunting public land, king. And usually about 6 hours, if it was within 6 hours of Tulsa, I'm going. In Oklahoma, Missouri, Mark Twain National Forest, Missouri, Arkansas, White Rock National Forest in Arkansas, Mississippi, Holly Springs National Forest, northern Mississippi. But what I want to do, I want to hunt in Texas. I didn't have no money, I couldn't go on a guided hunt, and almost all of Texas is private. I thought surely there's some public land in Texas. Davy Crockett National Forest, look at there, 100 and some thousand acres. Now you couldn't hunt all of that, but some of it was designated for public hunting. And I try to, anybody out, hey, let's go to Texas and deer hunt. What? Yeah. Where are you going? I'm going down to public land, down in Belufkin. Oh, I don't want to go do that. That's about 7-8 hours. Yeah, but man, no, I don't want to do that. Couldn't get nobody to go with me. I thought, I'm going. And I had an old roommate from college that ran the sporting good department at a big Kmart in Dallas. I called him. I said, hey, you want to go deer hunting in Texas with me this weekend? He goes, well, where are you going? I'm going down to public land, down Belufkin. Yeah, we got thousands of acres. I don't know. I got to close the store on Friday night. It'd be late before I get. He's married and had a little baby girl at the time. He said, I could probably go. I said, I'll just come down and it don't matter how late it is. We'll just drive down there. We'll hunt Saturday, get a room, and then come back sometime Sunday, Well, he wasn't sure, but he said, okay, I'll do it. I hadn't seen him in several years. Okay, come on. We didn't get out of the store. It's like between 11 and 12. It's late. Then had to go to his house. Of course, had to see the wife, at least the new baby, and I went on and on and on. And this couple-hour drive from there is way up in the morning. I'll never forget pulling up in front of the gate there, and this section that was open to the public was about, I think, 13,000 acres. Public hunting. Walk in only. Couldn't drive in. Had to walk in by foot. Way up in the morning. I still remember sitting there, wore out, been up all night long, catnapping, I think. You're looking at that watch. Man, when the sun comes up, I'm going hunting. Shot a 7 mag, And, didn't know nothing about it. I just, I had a license, I had a gun. Finally, the light started to break. I said, all right. I said, I'll see you back at the truck, but I'm going that way, you go that way. And it's East Texas. Well, I'd never been there, didn't know, and there were there was quite a bit of thick brush and timber there, And I thought, just to be safe, so I don't get lost, which I hunted there many times. I have a morning coffee scheduled for later on in the year called the Green Rifle. Remember the movie Deliverance? Squeal like a pig. Now that didn't happen to me, but I had it. That's going to be a morning coffee to look forward to. But anyway, I thought, I don't want to get lost down here. I'm going to stay over here kind of close to the fence line, And I'd hunt down the fence line a little bit, then I'd get off the way 100 yards or so, kind of get lost. I got to get back to the fence line. I didn't want to get lost too much, And I remember, about an hour and a half up after daylight, I'm off, and I got into some really thick brush. I'm talking about thick. You couldn't see 20 yards. Inexperience is what this was. If it had happened this past year, I'd have killed this deer, right? But inexperience. I'm in this, and I heard this this grunting. I thought, that's a hog. I'll shoot one of them. I didn't know they had hogs in here. It sounded like a hog. And it was getting closer. And I could hear it. And it was a buck, bird dog and a doe, grunting at her. And they stepped out right, now I'm talking about right in front of me, 10, 15 yards, And at that time, it was the biggest buck I'd ever seen in my life. I don't know how big it was score-wise. It was a toad on that doe. I don't know who was more surprised, them or me. Of course, the doe was one that, took off. Of course, he started grunting again, and I got a bullet off. I can't believe that happened. I can't believe, man, what a buck. I'm shook up. I'm shook up now, all right? Jim, look, it didn't hit him, no blood. Oh my. I thought, I got to get back to the fence line. I thought, I don't want to get lost. I get back over the fence line. I thought, I cannot believe what just happened. I can't believe. And I'm walking kind of down, staying close to the fence line. I'm really literally right on the fence line. And I heard this, hey, you. Of course, in Texas, you're not required to wear blaze orange. And and sitting over on the other side of the fence, underneath the tree, was a hunter. He goes, you, buddy, you. I never said a word. He said, you make sure you stay on that side of the fence. This is private land, and I'm hunting a giant buck. Are we clear? I remember I just kind of nodded my head. I never opened my mouth, which is the best thing to do when you confront somebody that's carrying a high-powered rifle. If they start talking about your mama, just agree and get out of there. And he was kind of terse with me, I mean, I didn't have any intentions of crossing the fence, I just stayed on the fence line, got on, but I didn't go very far. And I thought, you know what? That giant buck he's talking about, he's hunting a giant buck. He was right in front of me 10 minutes earlier at 10 yards. That had to be the buck. It had to be. One like this. On public land. If I had gotten a bullet in that deer, it would have been mine. That guy was thinking that it was his, because he was hunting that giant buck. But that buck was on my side of the fence that day. And from that moment on, I thought, you know what? That buck didn't know what side of the fence he was on. He was following that doe. He just went over the fence. If she'd have gone back over there on that side, he'd have went over that side. If she'd gone back over this side, he'd have went back on this side. It's 4-foot barbed wire fence. From that moment on, that changed my thinking. Hey, I get up against a great piece of private land. All right? The bucks over there, they may be coming over here. Especially when the rut's going on. They don't know what side of the fence. And that buck, he may live over there on private land. That guy may have been feeding him for 4 or 5 years. That guy may have been hunting him for 3 or 4 years. No telling what. But that morning, he was on my side of the fence. I didn't do anything illegal. I didn't do anything in unethical. I just, out of inexperience, didn't know what was happening. Think about that. Think about that in your hunting, where you're hunting. When you're looking for a piece of property to hunt, there may be a great big block of private land that's got some of the biggest bucks in the history of the world on it. Hey, you may only have 20 acres over here. Especially when the rut's going on. Those bucks may come right over there in front of you. Hey, that changed my thought process. That day on public land, out of Davy Crockett National Forest, they're out of Lufkin, Texas. That trip that I made, I didn't shoot anything that weekend. I never saw another buck. I never saw another buck that weekend. But that trip, coming down there and having that happen to me, changed my thought process on what I'm going to look for and the kind of properties I'm going to look for to hunt in order to maybe give myself a chance to kill a great big buck. All right. In our next morning coffee, I'm going to talk about one of the legends in the outdoor industry, a story that he relayed to me along the same lines, only the coin is flipped. He was the one on public land. Going to be a great story in our next morning coffee.